And the argument that eggs cause high cholesterol. Now, this has pretty much been debunked that dietary cholesterol causes blood cholesterol levels to rise. This has pretty much been null and voided in recent research. So that unfortunately still lingers around when people say, well, you should avoid eggs because it causes high cholesterol levels. In reality, it's been now shown in science that, dietary cholesterols do not influence blood cholesterol levels unless, there's a factor involved in that as well, which I won't talk about, but for most people, it's not an issue. I say on my list here, add herbs and spices. Now, because this smells terrible, this is not nice to have on its own. I never usually have egg protein on its own. I usually mix it with a whey protein that contains a flavor, because that masks the flavor and it masks the smell of egg protein. So some guys can have egg protein with water. I can't do it personally. So I usually mix it with whey protein. You can have it with casein. I know some guys have egg protein with casein and they mix the two together. Or you can use herbs and spices to try and mask the smell. If you're having this every day, then it's usually get to the point where you want to try and mask the smell that, egg protein has. So egg whites, no fat, no carbs, virtually no fat, virtually no carbs. 3 grams of protein in the egg whites. So as I said, egg protein is a fantastic form of protein. If you're not taking whey or casein, you can supplement with taking egg protein. It can be more expensive though than whey protein. I managed to get this really cheap when I was on discount. It actually cost me less than my whey protein. So I bought about 8 tubs of this and I'm still going through it. So hope that makes sense. We move on to soy protein. Now, we're getting onto the plant-based proteins now. So if you can't have whey, casein, or egg, then we're getting onto soy. We're getting onto plant-based proteins now. So soy protein is a very popular plant-based protein. It's the most popular plant-based protein out there. The reason why I don't usually recommend soy. I used to drink a lot of soy products back in the day. When I was back in the day when I didn't eat meat and I didn't have dairy. And I was having a lot of soy milk. And now I didn't know the research back then. And still the research is a little bit iffy about the effects of soy products in men. And that some research has shown that, soy, contains, these compounds which can have feminizing effects in men and can cause estrogen levels in men to increase and testosterone levels to drop. But they found that, with about 50% of the population that contain a certain type of bacteria, they found that, this daidzein in the intestines can actually be metabolized into equol, which can cause, estrogen levels to increase and testosterone levels to drop in men. And in the same research studies, they found that with women, with this particular particular bacteria, it never had any effect, but only in men. So, and they found that on soy product, there's so much research on soy products in general in terms of, it having benefiting effects for women that have breast cancer and that kind of thing. And so usually soy is recommended to women, if they have cancers of some type. And, but usually when we're talking muscle building, which is what this course is about, if you're a man watching this, I don't recommend taking soy products whatsoever. And it's only because the research is controversial. Some research papers say that it can lower sperm count, quite significantly. Other research papers say that it has no effect. Other research papers say that the reason why research paper 1 and 2 are conflicting is because, these bacteria are not always present. And if they are present, that's when the problem arises. So my recommendation is if you're a man, avoid soy. If you're a woman, it may have benefits for you. Above and beyond just the muscle building benefits. So, I'll let you make that decision. Then we're getting into pea, rice, and hemp. So we've already talked about soy, pea, rice, and hemp. Now, usually plant-based proteins get railed as being really ineffective or not being inferior compared to whey and casein and animal-based proteins because it's some people believe that they're incomplete forms of protein, which is not true at all. Plant-based proteins, they have a weaker amino acid profile. And what I mean by weaker is they don't have the same levels of leucine, isoleucine, valine, and all the other essential amino acids that are found in high amounts in animal-based protein products. But that doesn't mean that they're incomplete. It just means that you might need to take more of that plant-based protein to have, the same effects of, an animal-based protein. So to put it out there, plant-based protein is a complete form of protein. And, I used to take, if you have a look on the screen there, Sun Warrior, I used to take that particular type of protein all the time. They're a great brand. It's a great product. They're not paying me for this. But they're a great brand, great product. I've tried natural, which is terrible. I didn't like that one whatsoever. Vanilla and chocolate are fantastic flavors, right? So it's a great brand, and I believe they've only got those two flavors, and of course the natural as well. So yeah, check it out. It's that particular one is a rice-based protein. So check that one out. Now, a vegan's whey. So if you're a vegan and you want the benefits of somebody who's taking a whey product, then you can mix rice and pea protein together, because rice and pea have very complementary forms of amino acid profiles. So when you blend them together, they actually have a compounding effect of having similar benefits on an amino acid profile level to whey protein. So, and I've done that before. I've combined rice and pea protein together as well. So you can do that. And by the way, hemp protein is I don't usually recommend hemp protein. Usually contains about 40 to 50% protein by weight. It's not something that I usually recommend. Out of the 4 different types of plant-based proteins, hemp would be on the bottom of my list. In terms of how much protein, so which is best? Which is the best type of protein out there? As I said before, make sure that you hit your protein target. That's the biggest concern here. Don't get too caught up in the arguments of casein's better than whey, whey is better than casein, you should have more egg than casein, and it's easy to get caught up in these arguments. I've been involved in these debates in the past. It's not worth it. They're interesting debates, but ultimately what it comes down to, if you're just starting out, really be concerned with getting enough protein. If you're training in the gym on a regular basis, then you're aiming for about 0.9 grams per pound of body weight per day. Now, if you're cutting to lose fat and maintain muscle, that's going to be a little bit higher, not much more, maybe a gram per pound. But you can leave it at 0.9 grams per pound, it's fine. If you're bulking, it'd be a little bit less than 0.9 grams per pound. So it does seem like a lot, but it is absolutely necessary. It's not going to harm your organs if you're a relatively healthy adult. It's not going to harm your organs otherwise. But yeah, you do need that much protein. If you don't get that much protein, you're just not going to get results, period. Right? Take it from somebody who screwed this up in the past. So try different types of protein. As I said, there is no best type of protein. It's whatever the best type of protein is for you. Whatever works best in your body, whatever feels good, whatever tastes good, whatever mixes well. They're all pretty good. When you get to a point where when you get some training experience under your belt, then you might get a little bit more strategic with, mixing and matching and combining and, that kind of thing. And you might have your casein and your egg protein before you go to bed. And then, you might wake up and fast. Then you might have another type of protein before, and then you might mix whatever, right? So just don't get too caught up in how to mix it and when to have it and what time and within this time frame. Just when you're starting out, just get enough protein. Is there a protein powder for women? Short answer is no. There is no protein powder for women, right? And women usually marketers usually push certain types of whey or certain types of protein products onto women. And those protein products usually contain a whole lot of minerals and vitamins and all this other stuff. So it's like you're taking a multivitamin with your protein powder. It's unnecessary. You can just take a multivitamin, and as a tablet, and then have a normal regular protein powder. If you're a woman watching this, don't get caught up in the BS of, if it doesn't have some skinny pink thing on the front with fairy wings, then it's not your type of protein. You can have the same protein powders that guys take. It's not going to make you big, chunky, bulky. Forget about that BS, unless you're taking steroids. So I assume you're not. You don't need to be concerned about, if you take protein powder for guys, that you're going to get big, chunky, and it's not going to happen. So forget about it. So ultimately, what are you looking for? Just general guidance, high amounts of protein per serve. So usually 80-85% protein per serve. There's a lot of rubbish proteins out there as well, where you're getting 40-50% protein per serve. Rubbish, right? If you're buying protein powder, you're buying protein powder. You're not buying all the rubbish that goes with it. You'll always get a small amount of fat and carbs with your protein. That's normal. But just aim to get as much protein per serve as you can. You can calculate it, but if you look at the label and you divide, so look at amount per serve, for example, protein 24 grams per serve. The serving size is 30 grams. So 24 divided by 30 multiplied by 100 will give you what the percentage is of protein per serve, 80% and above. Low fat and carbs, we talked about that. Protein that tastes great mix as well. That's important. If you're going to be taking this stuff on a regular basis, you want to make sure that it's a flavor that you enjoy. Now, maybe go with some samples, go to a supplement store, see if they offer some samples of different flavors so that you're not going to spend $80 on a big tub of, chocolate mint cookie or whatever, and you have one scoop of it and it tastes like shit, right? Try and get a sample. If you like it, if you like the sample, then get the big tub. Makes sense. And if you like the flavor of it, then you're going to keep drinking it. You're going to keep using it. And also protein that mixes well. Now, egg protein, casein doesn't mix as well. But what you can do is you can use a spring, which I don't have with me right now, and you can put the spring inside the shaker cup, shake it up, and that will help to break down the casein so that it's easier to it's easier to drink, and it causes it to mix better. But I find that even for me, it's still quite thick and I don't like it. But with egg protein, if you mix this up, if you are quite vigorous with it, it creates a very pronounced froth layer on top. You don't need to shake this vigorously. You just put a little bit in a shaker cup, just gently shake it, and then you won't have that big giant, it won't feel like you're drinking a beer. All right, so that's it for this section. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, reach out to me. More than happy to help everybody that has any questions. This is a quick video. If you have any more questions about whey protein, or if you're curious to know more about whey protein, check out my whey protein course. It's 4 hours in length. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to whey protein, clearly. I've been taking this stuff for years. I've tried scores of different flavors and brands and that kind of thing. So I know this stuff very well. So if you have any more questions, you're more curious about whey protein, check out my whey protein course. Otherwise, I'll see everybody in the next video.